Let's have all your hands in the air if you just love seeing children happy. Yes? And it doesn't even matter if they're not your kids. Is that true? Yes or no? Unfortunately, all those lovely videos, seeing kids dancing, seeing things happening, that's not the reality for many. Where I'm talking about, sub-Saharan Africa, more than 64% of the children there haven't enough to eat, haven't a roof over their heads, are living in conflict, are likely to die before they reach 5 years of age. 3 out of 5 die before their 5th birthday, which leaves mums on a replacement program. Poor sanitation, all of those things contribute, but wouldn't it just be right if they could grow up with education and have a say in their future? What do you think? Yes? Well, yeah, I'm Irish. Bob Geldof. Do you remember Bob Geldof? Yeah, well, I'm not going to ask for your feckin' money just yet, but we'll come to that part. Yeah, okay. Been round, but in my head I'm 16, okay? And I'm a nurse. Been a nurse all my life. If you give a monkey something to do long enough, they get reasonably good at it. And I think I can say I'm reasonably good at that, should be. Why am I passionate about little kids in Africa? I'm not just passionate about them, passionate about the mums as well. Because if you keep the mum alive, the child has a better chance, doesn't he? Going back to 2011, I find myself in Lilongwe Airport, that's in Malawi. I've flown in through Kenya. It's very hot. You know when you get off the plane there, that heat hits you like a wall? Not in best form, been travelling all night. The customs people always think my luggage is overweight. I don't know what happens on the plane, it was all right when it left London, but they're always trying to charge me more money when I get there. You know, dinero. Yeah, and it was full of a lot of surgical instruments, which I was bringing out for the midwives and the people that we were planning to train in Mozambique. Mozambique is there, can you see? Big long coastline, made it very valuable in Africa. They were all trying to fight for it, to get a route to the sea. And tucked in the middle of it is Malawi. They call it the dagger in the heart of Mozambique. They're like that. And it has a flag which is unique in the world. It sports a rifle with a bayonet and an agricultural instrument on top of a book. Didn't see much examples of books when I was in that part of Africa because only 9% of the people that I was working with were literate. But I saw lots of examples of agricultural instruments and unfortunately guns. Now, money. I needed money for this program, and where was I going to get money? A wise shaman was once asked, where are you going to get the money for all of your programs to relieve poverty? And he said, from wherever it is now. Which seemed a good answer. I had some people helping me. I had a couple of illustrious politicians. You notice illustrious politicians don't last very long, do they? Especially not in the UK. But they helped me by fundraising in the House of Lords and House of Commons. But mostly I raised the funds by working. I'd work for a 12-month programme, split up into 3-month intervals, take the money, go out, spend it on a project, come back from Africa, okay? And here we were developing a program of ultrasound scanning for pregnant women to identify the at-risk pregnancies in a place called Mandimba. Now, how did it come about? A young woman called Isanati. I met her, and you know, one person, one little girl, can bring a whole change about. And she was instrumental in galvanising the resources of hospitals in London, gynecologists, educationalists. A number of my colleagues, I was running out of friends, they said, don't go near her, she'll have you in Africa. And we put together a program. But how did I meet her? Walking into the hospital one morning, or I use the term advisedly, it was a health centre. There was a young girl trying to give birth to a baby. She was exhausted. The baby was stuck in the birth canal and it wasn't going anywhere. There was a young doctor there and he was playing with the forceps and trying them out on his hand. A lot of kerfuffle, a lot of talk. The attendants were shouting at him and he was hesitating. He was newly qualified and he'd just come for his first tour of duty in the bush from the university hospital in Maputo, 3,000 kilometres away. He delivered the baby using the forceps. It was put in a bassinet. Somebody rushed over and used manual suction to clear its airway. And it did breathe for about 5 minutes. It never cried. And that was it. Someone took the bassinet and pushed it into the other room. The young girl, she stared at the wall, and I stared at her. She didn't even look round. Even when they put her in the lithotomy position, she hadn't even uttered a sound. She was just resigned to it. Her mum was outside. She came in. She had a bottle of water and a cloth. In that part of the world, nobody comes and does your personal hygiene in the hospital. Nobody tends to any of that. Your family have to come and do it, or you do it yourself. And as soon as you can stand up on your feet, that's it, bye. You're discharged. I went back to see her the next day, and she was still staring at the wall, leaning against the bars of the bed. And she just looked empty. She was 15 years of age, her mother told me. This was the 5th child she had lost. They hadn't all died in childbirth. 2 of them were twins. Apparently they'd lasted for nearly a year. And that's just the way it is there. Young girls start reproductive cycle at 12 years of age. By the time they're 15, they're old hands at it. But mostly, they're on a replacement program. The children just don't survive. The few that do, they don't get much attention either, so the education isn't there for them. We did other things when we were there. We had a chicken program, but chickens were hard to come by. But one day I got hold of a load of chickens and some rice, and I thought, let's do the lighter side, and we'll go up into the hills to a village and see what they're doing and try and teach them something. Now you might think condoms would be an answer, wouldn't they? Birth control, yeah? But it's quite difficult. The men there say no, their tradition says no, don't use birth control. And the pill is very hard to get in any regular supply, just like any drugs for malaria or anything else. So off we set with 2 trainees and a box of condoms. Up in the village, they were very happy to see us. They were more happy to see the chickens. And we started it off easy. We taught washing your hands, a nice little song, wash your hands. Agua, 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 lavari nos mash. And then shake them clean, shake them clean. So they put it into a little dance far better than I could. Choreography is not my thing, by the way. My mother tried with 2 and 6 a week to have me taught Irish dancing. It didn't work. So, yes, our hands are clean. Then we start with the condoms. They have loads of condoms there. They come in every flavour and size, except the size that fits. So one of the interpreters decided he would help me out with this. So he gets one of the ladies' brooms and cuts it round a little bit. And we think, genius. So they all take their broom and start putting the condom on the end of the broom and do a little dance. And it's all fine, different colours. It looks very brilliant. And I think, they've got it. By George, I think they've got it. Great. So return to the village sometime later. Pregnant women? Yes, there were a lot of pregnant women there that day too when we went back. And I thought, are they using the condoms? Never mind. We carried on. Then they all rushed into the houses and came out with the brooms. And the condoms were still on the brooms. And they were so thankful and did a little dance. And well, we didn't show them how to put it on the dicks, did we? We showed them how to put it on the brooms. They did what it said on the tin. So they thought it was a talisman against woo-woo, some woo-woo that they could use, so they were protected. Yes. So a bit later on, after the rains, I decided to revisit Esnati and see what was happening in the village. And on my way, I picked up some people who were in the local hostelry who spoke English, and turned out they were engineers. And I needed some advice on how to put a bridge across the river, because when the floods came, the village where Esnati lived was cut off completely, and she herself had struggled to get to the health centre because of this intervening river and deep-sided gorge. So I went back into her village, waited for the guy to take us across the river in the little boat. It's a very interesting little boat. It had a load of tin cans in it, because when we got in the boat and it went low in the water, we had to keep bailing out very quickly. It was a great way of not freaking out, thinking, can I swim if we fall in or if we capsize, because you were too busy bailing out. So, yes. I went back to the village, and there she was, on her own. No husband. He'd taken off. And you know what? She was doubly incontinent. No pre or postnatal care, no follow-up. Well, the man didn't stick around, did he? And she was pretty much ostracized in the village too. So, got her to a hospital in Malawi. She had a rectoanal fissure, and she was able to have successful surgery. And after a couple of weeks, go back home. And then a wonderful thing happened. She met another man. She had another baby. This baby survived. So there was a happy ending to her story, but not an ending yet to what she started, the program of ultrasound scanning that we introduced to the village. The program was simple. Find a load of volunteers who were ultrasound technicians who would come out with me and teach them to use the ultrasound scanning. Find Samsung tablets that we could put the program on and someone to dub it in Portuguese, so the ultrasound scanning program could be something they could reflect back on. Find a number of mentors, doctors in the UK, who would let them send the pictures back when they got stuck, so that they would know where they'd gone wrong. Ultrasound scanning is quite simple but quite precise. You have to have circles and ellipses, cabeza, head, knee, and you work out the gestational age. They have no clue when they got pregnant, because most of the women are very anemic through malnutrition and through malaria. So, and scan all the pregnant women. Did I say that bit? Yeah. And then find them a place or a transport to get to the hospital in time so that they can have the interventions that they needed. So identify the at-risk pregnancies. We had everybody coming to the clinic, not just to identify whether they were pregnant or not. Usually they were, but with all sorts of other ailments. A health clinic, a queue as far as you could see every morning. Babies fore and aft coming in with all kinds of ailments. And of course the magic paracetamol that the white woman had, which was better than any other paracetamol that you could have anywhere else. Now there are a number of stories I could tell you about, like how many people can you get on a bus? That's really not even fully populated yet. There's hardly anybody on top. The monkeys that scavenge everything. And chickens. We did vaccination programs with chickens. Yes, you have to vaccinate them, otherwise they die. They call it African dying disease, and I thought they were having a funny turn. But actually there is. They die there if we take out normal chickens, so you have to vaccinate them. So myself and a trainee doctor were having great fun one night with an insulin syringe, vaccinating 400 of Yeah, you had to be there. So, woo-woo and Nelson Mandela. What's that got to do with the price of fish? Nelson Mandela said that woo-woo was dying out in Africa because you couldn't make magic against African women anymore. So many of them used weave and artificial braids that if you tried to use the hair in the traditional way, a factory went up in Taiwan. So milk powder, we bought milk powder to feed orphans. And we didn't reckon, until we came back to the village one day, to the store where we had some adults keeping it, we didn't reckon what would happen to it. The adults were eating it because they were hungry too. So it just shows you, doesn't it? We need to learn as well. We can't just feed one section of the community. We have to look at a way of feeding all. And we have to get quite expensive formula too because they're allergic to dairy, which is another story. Sub-Saharan Africans don't have cows. There's not enough water. But these people taught me so much. And it was my learning that was the bigger part of it. Women, the women we're supporting out there, they're the bedrock of what will take us forward. They're the mothers of the generation that's going to get us out of this mess that we've put together. Climate change is affecting them in such a great way. There are no recognizable seasons there anymore. The rainy season lasts a short time, then goes away. Hurricanes, floods, tsunamis. That has changed the way their agricultural system works altogether and the way they can predict, even with woo-woo, what's going to happen next. Now, in caring for those women, how do we go forward? They're going to be the mothers of the generation that fixes everything that we've messed up. What can we give them? We can get paracetamol, 125 doses for £5. £5! I think that's less than a cup of coffee at Costa. £60 a year will buy a uniform and send a young boy to school or a young girl to school. That's accumulation of £5 a month. £20 takes a pregnant woman in a bus ride to hospital. Yeah? We also bought bales of clothes. £5 a week will buy a bale of clothes. They can set up a small market stall and sell the clothes. And of course, resurrecting the chicken program, giving them a batch of chickens so that they can sell them, rear them and sell them, and then come back and get some more. The alternative is sex working.
Oh, sorry.
Well, you saw her before, didn't you? Floozy. I'm going back there on August the 9th. Jane is coming with me. Come over here. So we need your help, please. Come out there. We'll tell you how to do it.
Brilliant. So, I met Fran a year ago, and Fran said she wanted to be on stage last July, and I said, okay, what are you going to talk about? She had no idea. So, what are you passionate about? She said, Africa. And I was that friend who was like, if you're going, I'm going. I don't know what we're going to go and do, but Fran is such a woman with a mission. She packed it, booked it, and we're fucking off. Sorry, Freddie, but we're fucking off in August the 9th. And Fran has roped me into teaching some children some rugby, which is obviously what I'm massively passionate about, and I can't wait. So if you can make a small donation today, that would be greatly received.